What is up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Erin Bies. I am a wife, a mom, a military veteran, and I spent 13 and a half years in multi-level marketing, healed my way out, and now I'm using all of my social media platforms, yeah, plural, to educate and raise awareness around the dangers of multi-level marketing and the tactics used by their reps to try and recruit you and or sell you an overpriced product. If you're brand new, what is up? Thank you for being here. Shout out to those of you that have been here since I launched my channel for this purpose last August. Thank you guys for being here. Shout out to members. If you'd like to follow me on social media, here's my handles. And today's going to be a little bit different of a video. Every so often I put out a video that I hope is a resource through sharing some of the things that I have experienced. I've talked a lot about cognitive dissonance. I've talked a lot about language and being able to identify which company, which MLM company, based on posts on social media and the specific words that they use. And today, I really want to talk about why people, when they leave an MLM and they see, hey, these are the things that happened, why do they then join another MLM company after that? Knowing that I don't know, I'm looking at this witch's brew, and I'm thinking, knowing that they see, in my opinion, the poison that happens that people experience within MLM. And when I say that, I mean things like transactional relationships. And as soon as you decide that, hey, it's not for you, or you decide to go another direction or whatever, the people that you thought were your friends typically unfriend you, block you, and act like you didn't ever exist, especially if you start to speak out. There's also losing yourself. And what I mean by that is when you're in an MLM and it starts off very slowly. And when I say it, what I mean is the little bit of time that you give up. It starts off very, very slowly. And so you wouldn't normally just write off all of your responsibilities. It starts with, well, I could skip family dinner, even though that used to be important to me. Or I used to share other things on my social media pages, but now it's all about my company. It's all about the opportunity. And so you lose time, you lose yourself, you lose, in my opinion, hobbies and other interests, and you replace those things with all things MLM. And I know that we've had a situation within the anti-MLM movement where somebody went on and joined another MLM after speaking out. And let me just say, I don't think that person was necessarily anti-MLM. And that's not me saying anything negative about her. That's me just saying she was speaking out about her former situation, in my opinion. And she wasn't fully anti-MLM. And so I think that that's also, not that we want to use her as a lesson. That's not what I mean. But why, in my opinion, did she join another MLM? Why does that happen? Why do we have people on social media that speak out? And I can think of a handful of people that used to be a part of the anti-MLM movement. And that could look like sharing content. That doesn't necessarily mean content creators. People that I know of that used to be, shared the content, interacted, agreed, but then later joined another MLM. Why does that happen? And I think that there's a number of things, and I'm going to base this on my experience. And let me just say, if you have somebody that was speaking out against their MLM that they used to be a part of, and now they've joined, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. There's only so much that you can do. Send them the information, tell them how they can research the company, and you just kind of got to let it go. Let them come to their own decision. And I know that can be really hard, because if we push and push and push, it's just going to drive them deeper in. And in my opinion, yes, MLMs are commercial cults. I do think that there is, behavior control, information control, all of that from the bite model. Absolutely. So we have to be really careful when it comes to that. Now, I'm going to share some of my thought processes when I joined MLMs in the past and why I kept joining. What was my mindset like? Why was I thinking that? And this is just, again, based on my experience. So when I joined slumber parties in 2007, I was looking for, yes, extra income. I was a new mom. I was looking for some reclaiming who I was, remembering who I was. I'm not really sure how I want to word that. Getting out with other adults and not just, I don't want to say just being a mom, because being a mom is incredible. Being a parent is incredible. And so when you have that shift in your identity, I think that can be pretty shocking for a lot of people. And that was one of the main things, aside from wanting to make some extra money. I went to a party and I was like, I can totally do this. I can absolutely do this. And I ended up signing up and was pretty successful right off the bat. And I think I was in slumber parties for about 6.5 years, going on 7 years, something like that. And that was when Pure Romance bought out slumber parties. And I remember thinking, what? Because this was a company that was not looked at in a positive light from the slumber party side. I'm sure it was or is the same way on the Pure Romance side. It's competition. There's a lot of, like I was talking about on the live the other night, there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that not a lot of people know when it comes to the two companies. I'll just leave it at that. And so there was hesitation on my part about joining Pure Romance from slumber parties. And I remember sitting in a town hall, which was just a get together. I was in Albuquerque. A bunch of us slumber parties people were there. My leader was there, who's now the president, my former leader, who's now the president of Love Wing. She was there. And I remember hearing the CEO of Pure Romance speak, and I was just like, this just feels really odd, because if you're going to say you're for women by women, but your CEO is a male, it just felt very uncomfortable to me. And I remember my former leader saying, no, this is a very good thing. Very good thing for who? Very good thing for who? And so anyways, there was major hesitation on my part. I ended up saying, okay, I'm gonna try this. And I ended up questioning pretty quickly into it. And I think I was only in Pure Romance for about 5 or 6 months, somewhere in there. And then I was like, this is not for me. And I actually walked away from MLMs. And in that time frame, there was question on if we were going to be moving, and there was a lot of uncertainty, and I was like, well, I don't know. And then my former leader mentioned that she was going to be starting her own company. And so I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll give this a try. If this is something that, because this is a pattern that we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of people that used to be building an MLM now starting their own company and being the CEO or the president. And so the alluring aspect of that is, oh my God, they can relate to what we do and how we do it. They've done parties or they've done lives on social media. They know how all of this works. And now they're in an executive role, if you will, within this company that they're building. This is going to be great. However, in my opinion, those types of individuals, just because they've been in the field does not mean that they are meant to be presidents and CEOs of companies. That doesn't mean that they're qualified for that. Do they have experience in the field? Yes, of course. But does that mean that they're a great CEO or that they would be a great CEO? No. And I think we've seen that in several companies. But I joined, I got out, and I was like, well, maybe I'm just not going to do MLMs anymore, which was really weird and really scary because I had done it for 6.5, 7 years, somewhere in there. And it was all I knew. I had built, in a sense, my entire identity around parties. around being that person that people would go to. I had a huge clientele. I was doing parties all over the state of New Mexico. I was recruiting all over the state of New Mexico at the time, and, you know, doing statewide trainings and just all kinds of stuff. And it was really scary to step away from that, one, because of the income that I was making, which looking back was typically off of my override checks off of my team. But then also it was like, well, who am I now? And I think that empty feeling, that who am I now, that quiet, that stillness is really, really scary for a lot of people that have been in MLMs for some time. I think that they are looking for something to fill that void. They are looking for something that is going to have them, I don't want to say break up the noise, but break up the noise. And so then I ended up getting sued by Pure Romance because I joined Lovewinks. I did Lovewinks for, I think, a year and a half, 2 years, something like that. In that 1 year that I had to take off because of the lawsuit with Pure Romance. We moved here to Vegas, and it was amazing. I got to spend time with my family, and then it was time to kick it up again, and I had to build again in a new city, in a new state. And, but I was back working. And then I was introduced to Modere. You guys have heard me tell this story. And when I joined Modere, I joined as a customer first, and then I later joined as a distributor. And that was the big shift. That was 2016, I think. And there was a big shift around that time frame from in-person stuff to online through social media, Zooms, those types of things around that time frame. And I remember feeling like I want to replace this, meaning parties, with I want to do this online so that I can be home and present. So that in my mind at that time, that was the shift that I was making. And so I ended up leaving Lovewinks, started Modere full time. This is when things get really crazy. And this is, I had to give you guys kind of the background, especially if you're new to my channel, so that you can kind of understand where I'm coming from. And so when I joined Modere, I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. I can do lives. That was when Facebook lives were extremely popular and were a tool that worked at that time. I don't know that it really has that same effect right now. I don't think it does. And then we get into the whole suspended, terminated for being in a leadership chat. You guys know that whole story. If not, I've done a 2-part series on that and Modere and all of that. And this is the part that I think is really, really important. When I was terminated from Modere, there was no question. There was not a pause. There was not like I wasn't second guessing. In fact, I think one of the things that I said was, well, where are we going? There was no pause. There was no stillness. There was no reflection. I just got terminated for absolutely no reason. And now, what am I going to do? And I think that one of the reasons that people join another MLM is because they don't pause. They don't reflect. They're caught up in all of the emotions, good, bad, everything in between, and they don't take a second and just think about it. They don't use, in my opinion, critical thinking. At the time, I was just so upset for being terminated, and at the time, I was probably making $2,000 or so a month, and I was like, I got to replace that income. How am I going to do this? And then loyalty, in my opinion, is used as it's weaponized. If you are somebody that is super loyal to your leader and something happens or they find the next opportunity because of that loyalty, they know, and again, my opinion, based on my experience, that they can manipulate you into joining the next thing. That's why we see some of the stuff that we do. I do think that pausing, critically thinking, okay, let's look at this. Let's look at a profit and loss statement. Have I really made any money? Because even though I was making, like I said, 2,000 or so with Modere, that didn't include any of the expenses. That was gross. So yeah, I've talked about that a lot. And so why do I think people join? I think that, or rejoin an MLM, I think that they get caught up in the idea of community. You know, I think they get caught up in the love bombing. You know, hey, so-and-so is going to go live. It's one of his first lives. Let's make sure that we go on and support. I think this is where we see, like the introductory post on social media where, it's the first time like announcing, hey, I've joined this company. And you see all of these people that are in the comments that are already a part of the company. They're just trying to boost the algorithm. In my opinion, that is a form of love bombing. In my opinion, that is a form of deceptive marketing. It's making it look like all these people are interested when they're already in the company. And that's just odd. But I think that one of the main things is looking for a sense of community. And I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. You can find community in all different places, and it doesn't require you to buy a business starter package through an MLM company. You shouldn't have to pay for relationships. That you shouldn't have to do that. And I think that is a main draw with MLMs, because if you think about it, some of the things that we see the most are community, as far as like how they try to recruit people in. Community, we see that they use trauma. So if you're somebody that has been in a traumatic situation, the reason that, in my opinion, you see some of these MLMers using these trauma in really vulnerable posts is because they're looking for people that can relate. And the reason that they're looking for people to relate is because they want people to trust them. Because if we have this trauma, we both have this kind of trauma that we've experienced, we have something in common, they're going to be open to, more and more and more. That's how I see it. Again, this is just my opinion. And so when I went from Modere to Prove It, I was like, let's go. And I really feel like when somebody leaves one company and people there, I don't want to say trauma, because I don't even like using that word. I think that we make light of that word trauma. Not, I just don't like that. That's a very serious thing that should not be used lightly. And I think that when people go through hard times, whether it's how they left their company, if they were terminated, any of those things, for them to go to another company, they're pissed. In some cases, not all. They're pissed. They're going to make it work because they've just been wronged. And so I can look back and I can think, okay, well, I'm going to show them. That's what that felt like. We are going to show them. And then it became this constant grind, for many, many years. And it wasn't until 2020 when I got sick, really sick with the Rona, that I paused and I reflected, because I had such limited energy because I was sick for 6 weeks, that I started to look at what I was doing, what I was participating in, who I was allowing complete access to me. And I started to really reflect on that. And I think that anytime you are looking at joining an MLM, you're thinking about it, and you have somebody in your inbox, pause and reflect and use critical thinking. And really look at, well, is this person trying to bring me into community? Is this person, using income claims? Is this person showing me all kinds of lifestyle posts? I mean, I've done that too, where I was in the Gucci store and I bought 2 pairs of Gucci shoes and I had it all over social media because I was like, look at me. This is how much money I'm making. This is what I'm able to do. And when you compare those things to income disclosure statements, the statistics and data from the FTC, their comp plan, when you really look at everything, you realize that a lot of those people that are posting those things, it doesn't add up with the information that's coming directly from the company. So look at what it is that they are trying to bring you into. Then you have the whole pre-launch with a lot of these MLM companies and the bragging of, this is another way that people are going to bring that or try to bring people in. They're bragging about rank advancements. They're bragging about, all of this money that they're going to be making. But like, let's talk about Awakened. They haven't even been paid yet. And the rank advancements that they're bragging about are based off of recruiting other distributors. They're not even open to the public. And so when we get caught up in the moment and we see a post and we're like, oh my God, I want that. Oh my God, I want to be able to go on vacation there. I want to be able to do this. I want to be able to do that. It's a small percentage of people within MLM that are actually able to do that. And so all of that is very alluring. And the best thing that you can do is to exercise some critical thinking. Ask for the income disclosure statement. If they really want to recruit you, ask them for their profit and loss statement. That's going to show their expenses and all of that stuff. This is money in, money out kind of thing. Look at some of their posts on their social media. Are they, making health claims? Are they making lifestyle or income claims? Are they just take in all of this information? Because the reason that I think people join MLMs after they have seen a little bit of how toxic MLMs can really be, why they join another one is because they think that they can do it different. They think that this next company is going to be different. And how many companies have we seen, or people in these companies that have said, it's different over here? I mean, there was a gal that approached me at my son's school. I did a whole live on this for members. And she was like, you need to try again. And I was like, what do you mean I need to try again? 6 companies, 13 and a half years. I don't need to try again. I don't need to try it again. And then they say things like, well, you haven't tried with me. You haven't tried this company. We don't need to try your company in order to see it for what it really is. Ugh. Anyways, I think that's why. I think that's why we see people that leave an MLM, see it for what it really is, join another one. It's like, well, I haven't tried this one, or maybe it is different over here, or I really could use the extra money, or maybe they had, if you're somebody that has done parties, and you had a successful party or whatever, and the distributor's like, hey, you should do this. This is the amount of money that you would make. I think that all of these things are baiting people in a sense. Yeah. Every time I joined an MLM, it was familiar. I knew what I needed to do because I had been in it for so long. And when I say I knew what I needed to do, I knew that I needed to recruit, and I knew that I had the ability to recruit. And that's how you make money in these companies. So I've been processing how to do this video. I know that I was kind of all over the place, but I think the most important things that you can do, if you are somebody that's in an MLM and you are questioning, hey, do I stay? Do I go? Do I join another company? I've got these people in my inbox. Maybe I should look at this. They invited me to an opportunity Zoom or whatever. Pause, reflect, do a profit and loss statement for the MLM that you're in. Look at the numbers. Find out if there's an income disclosure statement. Match up the money that that is being deposited into your account before expenses with the income disclosure statement. Look at the comp plan. How many of the ways that you can get paid are based off of recruiting? Because you can always step out of the MLM and step into true affiliate marketing that does not require recruiting and doesn't even have like a comp plan that has team building or, getting paid off of other people's efforts or any of that stuff. You can step into affiliate marketing without being a part of an MLM. So critical thinking, time, stepping away from the chaos, stillness, looking at the numbers, researching. And for those of you in an MLM that you're like, okay, I want to see what's out there. on my company. The easiest way that you can do that is go to YouTube. You're already here. Type in anti-MLM and then the name of your company. And from there, you can find a creator that you like where they're presenting the comp plan, the income disclosure statement if the company has one, and just listen. You're going to be mad. I was too. You're going to have a lot of feelings. You're going to be upset. You're going to be just all of the emotions you will experience. I can guarantee you that. Allow yourself time to feel those things. That's just my personal opinion. Seek a therapist, a professional, and don't jump into another MLM right away. Give it time. Ask yourself questions. You know, the same research that maybe you're doing on your company now, if you're in an MLM, do that same kind of research for the next company. If that company doesn't have an income disclosure statement, consider that a big, big, big red flag. So anyways, thanks for bearing with me. I know I was kind of all over the place. I wanted to give a little background. I can distinctly remember joining each company and kind of where my head was at and why. I think that jumping from Modair to Prove It in 2017 there was no critical thinking. There was no processing. There was so much hurt. There were so many emotions and I jumped right into it. So if anything, pause, reflect, critically think about what you're doing, what you're participating in, how you feel, and before you make a decision. So I hope this was helpful, hearing a little bit of my story. If you have any questions, feel free to message me on Instagram. I have a lot of people that reach out through like a dummy account on Instagram and ask questions, and I'm not going to share what you say in DMs. I think that having a place to be able to ask those questions, I think is really, really important. So if that is you, if you're watching this and you're like, hey, wait a minute, this doesn't feel right, that doesn't feel right, but you're not really sure where to go because MLMs do teach you to only go to them for the sources of information. I want to encourage you to look outside of that and do the research for yourself. So I hope this helps. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you so much. And don't join an MLM. Don't do that. And if you loved the video, I know that sometimes you guys like these videos where I'm just kind of sharing my experience. And yeah, if you loved it, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. You can subscribe. That would be incredible if you would subscribe. And also, if you want to get notified when I upload a video, just turn the little bell notification on. So I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye, everybody.